Okay, it's 6 o'clock, and good evening to everybody. This is the Town of Newfane Selectboard. It's our regular Select Board meeting, Monday, December 18th, 2017, and we're starting at 6 p.m. And I would like to introduce Mike Fitzpatrick, Chris Williams, myself, Marion Dowling, Gary Delius is out of the office right now, and we also have the vacancy. In addition to the Select Board members, we have Shannon Meckel, who is the Select Board Administrative Assistant. And welcome to everybody. Thank you. Okay, so we're calling this to order. And the first thing I have to ask is if there are any additions or amendments to the agenda for tonight, or any changes.
Yeah.
Shannon, did you want to add that letter, or is that through correspondence?
Which one?
From Rich Carroll?
It's on the agenda, so.
Oh, you put it on? Okay. All right, thank you. So no additions and no amendments. Okay, the second thing on the agenda, the third thing actually, is our Select Board business. Hi, Ken. And the first item is the fact that we have a vacancy on the Select Board. And there is somebody here in the audience who is very interested in joining the Select Board to fill in for the vacant spot that we have. And her name is Shelley Huber. And Shelley, would you like to introduce yourself a little and say something about why you want to be on the Select Board, or just a little bit about yourself so we know? I know it's terrible.
Well, I'm civic-minded, and I love Newfane and wanted to contribute, and it's a short-term vacancy, so I'd like to, offer my experience and expertise in management, and hopefully it'll go well.
Okay. Well, that's great. And we really appreciate that you've stepped up and offered your assistance, because we need it. And so I think
I'd
that...
make a motion that we
Very
put
good.
Shelley into the seat, because we did meet with her the other day too, so.
Yes. So
I'd make
there's a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. So now we vote on it. Is that correct? So everybody who's in favor, please say aye. Aye. And there's no nays and no abstentions, and we do have a quorum of 3 people on the Select Board. So what I would like to do, Shelley, is to invite you to come up here. And I think the,
She just has to go in and get
the
sworn
next
in.
thing you're going to do is you're going to go into the town clerk's office, and she's going to swear you in.
Okay.
And you can go in this way if you want, Shelley.
Good.
Good, thank you, Mike. Do we wait? You want to wait till she comes back, or should we continue? I'll wait.
You can continue, you have that long
Yeah. Okay.
one.
I have that long next step on the agenda. And that is because we have a change. We have Carol Hatcher, the former chairperson, did step down and resign. And we're very sorry that she's no longer with us, and we do have to move on. And so Shelley is going to take the place of the vacancy for that spot. And Gary Delius right now is away, and he will be away for quite a while. His plan is with us that he is going to be communicating and be present through voice, through telephone, conference, or Skype. And we are in the process of trying to work that out. He's on the road tonight and might not be able to join us. So therefore, we just have 3 people here tonight. So along with other things that we've read to the public during the last few months, which include job descriptions, which we've had to rewrite for road foreman and road crew position and administrative assistant position, and some of them were read out loud during our meetings. We also had new rules of procedure for the Newfane Selectboard, and those were written in April 2017, and they have not been read aloud to the public. So I thought if we can just take several minutes for me to read these to you, I think it would be a good review, and also for Shelley, who's coming up and joining us now. So now Shelley is an official select board member. Thank you. Okay, so this is the rules of procedure for the Newfane Select Board. A, purpose. The Select Board of the Town of Newfane is required by law to conduct its meetings in accordance with the Vermont Open Meeting Law. Meetings of the Select Board of the Town of Newfane must be open to the public at all times, except as provided in 1 BSA Section 313. And that actually is a section, Shannon, that we use when we have executive sessions office sometimes, which would mean that executive session is a meeting in private, and then a report back to the select board. B, application. This policy setting forth rules of procedure shall apply to the select board of the town of Newfane, which is referred to below as the body. These rules shall apply to all regular, special, and emergency meetings of the body. C, organization. The body shall annually elect a chair and a vice chair. The chair of the body, or in the chair's absence, the vice chair shall preside over all meetings. If both the chair and the vice chair are absent, a member selected by the body shall act as chair for that meeting. Right now, I have been voted in to be the chairperson until March. So I am filling in for the vacancy that was left when Carol Hatcher resigned. So it's temporary position. The chair shall preserve order in the meeting and shall regulate its proceedings by applying these rules and making determinations about all questions or order of procedure. Number 3. A majority of the members of the body shall constitute a quorum. If a quorum of the members of the body is not present at a meeting, no meeting shall take place. So on the Newfane Select Board, we have 5 members, and 3 out of the 5 members constitute a quorum. Recently, there was a meeting that was supposed to take place, and only 2 people showed up. So that does happen sometimes. We can't meet unless we have minimum 3 people that constitute a quorum. Now, this is really, for me, one of the most important things about the rules of open law meeting. No single member of the body shall have authority to represent or act on behalf of the body unless by majority vote the body has delegated such authority for a specific matter at a duly noticed meeting, and such delegation is recorded in the meeting minutes. Which means that individually we have no authority. We have no authority when we're out in the public, when we're home, when we're on our front porch, wherever we are. The chairperson has no authority once this meeting is over. The only other thing that the chairperson has authority over is working on the agenda with Shannon, because Shannon has been asked to write the agenda, but the chairperson has to approve it. Other than that, we are just citizens the way everybody else is as soon as this meeting is over at the end of the night. And I think that's important for everybody to know, that we can't make decisions on our own at all. Number 5, motions made by members of the body do require a second. The chair of the body may make motions and may vote on all questions before the body A motion will only pass if it receives the votes of a majority of the total membership of the body. Number 6, there is no limit to the number of times a member of the body may speak to a question. A member may speak or make a motion only after being recognized by the chair. Motions to close or limit debates will be entertained. Number 7, any member of the body may request a roll call vote. Number 8, meetings may be recessed to a time and place certain. Number 9, these rules may be amended by majority vote of the body and must be readopted annually. So once in a while, rules of the Select Board of Newfane change because it can be changed annually. But right now, this is it. D, agendas. Each regular and special meeting of the body shall have an agenda, excuse me, with time allotted for each item of business to be considered by the body. Those who wish to be added to the meeting agenda shall contact the administrative assistant, Shannon, to request inclusion on the agenda. The chair shall determine the final content of the agenda. So I think you should know that, as every other chairperson did, I come in and work with Shannon Fridays, Monday. I call her during the week. We don't make any decisions about anything. The only thing we're working on during the week is setting up the agenda for the next week. Number 2, at least 48 hours prior to a regular meeting and at least 24 hours prior to a special meeting, a meeting agenda shall be posted in or near the municipal office and at the following designated public places in the municipality: Newfane Market, WW Building Supply, and South Newfane/Williamsville Post Office. At least 48 hours prior to a regular meeting and at least 24 hours prior to a special meeting, a meeting agenda shall be posted on www.newfanevermont.com, BT. The agenda must also be available to any person who requests such an agenda prior to the meeting. Number 3, all business shall be conducted in the same order as it appears in the noticed agenda, except that any addition to or deletion from the noticed agenda must be made at the first act of business at the meeting. No additions or deletions from the agenda shall be considered once the first act of business at the meeting has commenced. Any other adjustment to the noticed agenda, for example, changing the order of business, postponing or tabling actions, may be made by the majority vote of the body. Number 8, Section E, meetings. Regular meetings shall take place on the first and third Monday of the month, 6 p.m. at the Newfane Town Office. Special meetings may be announced in the public at least 24 hours in advance, and giving notice to all members of the body unless previously waived, to an editor, publisher, a news director, or radio station serving the area, and to any person who requested notice of such meetings. In addition, notices shall be posted in the municipal clerk's office, and again, the places I just mentioned: Newfane Market, WW Building Supply, and South Newfane Williamsville Post Office. Emergency meetings may be held without public announcement, without posting of notices, and without 24-hour notice to members, provided some public notice, therefore, is given as soon as possible before each meeting. Emergency meetings may be held only when necessary to respond to an unforeseen occurrence or condition requiring immediate attention by the public body. And Shannon, I assume that during the time of Hurricane Irene, you probably had a lot of emergency meetings where you could not notify the public in advance. So it's those kind of emergencies where we don't have control of things. A member of a body may attend regular, special, or emergency meetings by electronic and other means without physically being present at a designated meeting location, so long as the member identifies himself or herself when the meeting is convened and is able to hear and be heard throughout the meeting. Whenever one or more members attend electronically, voting must be done by roll call. If a quorum or more of the body attend a meeting without being physically present at a designated meeting location, the following requirements must be met. At least 24 hours prior to the meeting or as soon as practical prior to an emergency meeting, the body shall publicly announce the meeting and post the notice of the meetings in the places that I just mentioned. The public announcement and posted notice of the meeting shall designate at least one physical location where a member of the public can attend and participate in the meeting. At least one member of the body or at least one staff or designee of the body shall be physically present at each designated location. So people have asked about the fact of someone being absent from the meetings for a period of time. And some people don't like the idea, other people are accepting of the idea. I just want everybody to know that it is totally legal according to Vermont League of Towns, of Cities and Towns, and it's also legally stated in the Vermont Selectboard handbook that there is provision for a member of the Select Board to be absent physically from meetings as long as they are on a phone where everybody can hear that person and we can hear them, and as long as if it's in Skype that they can see all of us and we can see them. And if there's an executive session called, that person is allowed to be in the executive session as long as we are reassured that that person is in a private space without other people around. So I really think that's important that this is talked about because there have been questions about this. So later on, if anybody has another question or comment, we can go through that. Okay, public participation. This is all for you. All meetings of the body are meetings in the public, not of the public. Members of the public shall be afforded reasonable opportunity to express opinions about matters considered by the body, so long as order is maintained according to these rules. Number 2, at the end of each agenda item, but before any action is taken by the public body at each meeting, there may be 5 minutes afforded for open public comment. By majority vote, the body may increase the time for open public comment and its place on the agenda. Number 3, comment by the public and members of the body must be addressed to the chair or to the body as a whole, and not to any individual member of the body or public. Number 4, members of the public must be acknowledged by the chair before speaking. Number 5, if a member of the public has already spoken on a topic, he or she may not be recognized again until others have first been given the opportunity to comment. Number 6, order and decorum shall be observed by all persons present at the meeting. Neither members of the body nor the members of the public shall delay or interrupt the proceedings or the peace of the body and the meeting, or to interrupt or disturb any member by speaking. Members of the body and members of the public are prohibited from making personal, impertinent, threatening, or profane remarks. Number 7, members of the body and members of the public shall obey the orders of the chair and other presiding member. The chair should adhere to the following process to restore order and decorum of a meeting, but they may bypass any or all steps when he or she determines in his or her sole discretion that deviation from the process is warranted. A, call the meeting to order and remind the members of applicable rules of procedure. B, declare a recess or table the issue. C, adjourn the meeting until a time and date certain. D, order the constable to remove disorderly persons from the meeting. So that's the official rules and regulations of the Newfane Selectboard. Those are the procedures. I would like to read just one small paragraph here in the handbook for Newfane Selectboard, because this is something that really takes a while to wrap one's head around. At least I'm speaking for myself, and because ordinarily in life itself, if you're at home or if you're in business, it's very often comes up that people want to talk to each other in between meetings, or at lunchtime, or go out for a cup of coffee and have a meeting about something. And with the open meeting laws that Vermont has laid down for us, it's actually the opposite. We cannot go out and have a cup of coffee or a drink, or meet at the post office and hang out. We are not allowed to do that because it's against an open meeting law, which means that everything needs to be publicly discussed. And so I just want to read you this paragraph, and it says, if a quorum of board members is conducting a group email discussion about town business, it is very likely that they are violating the open meeting law. The same principle would apply if board members were talking on the telephone or chatting at the local convenience store. While the result may seem harsh, the larger goal of maintaining the public trust far outweighs the minor inconvenience of saving the discussion for a properly warned meeting. So it's something that certainly I can only speak for myself. I have to keep that in mind at all times, because it really, as Shannon says the word, it's counterintuitive, which is a great way of expressing it, right? It goes in that against what we often do on our own. So that's it. I just wanted to read this through. Is it appropriate to ask if there any discussion, any comments made about this? Anything that I said or read about that you don't understand or you don't agree with? Or for you, it's an earful.
Yes. No, it makes all sense. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, thank you. So we'll move along. Thanks for listening. Okay. The next are the minutes, and the first, the minutes of December 4th, 2017, the regular meeting. Has everybody read it?
Yeah, I make a motion to accept the minutes.
I'll second. I'll second
Okay.
it.
Meeting motion has been made and seconded that we accept the regular meeting minutes. Is that correct, Shannon? I go on to the next one then. Okay. The next.
No, you gotta vote on it.
Oh, we have to vote on it. Okay, thank you. Okay, can we vote and accept those minutes?
All right.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. The ayes have it. The next part of the minutes are the December 11th budget meeting. Is there anybody who wants to make a motion? Okay, Mike made the motion. Any second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Any discussion about that? Okay. All those in favor of accepting the December 4th? Now, unfortunately, you can't vote on it because you weren't there for the whole, she can't, even if you're there, oh, see,
Yeah,
I'm
you-
learning every minute, I'm learning. Even if she was there just for a little bit, she can vote on it.
She can vote on them. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, see, live and learn. Okay,
Most people don't, but you absolutely can, and it's,
okay, great. So all minutes passed, thank you. Next on the agenda, road foremen and road commissioners report. Jay?
We had two of the dump trucks that went down during the storm last week. The 09 Sterling came back today, and the 2014 Mack, we're still waiting to hear what is wrong with that one. The Mike Fitzpatrick's, they transported the Sterling over to Winchester, and then we had DJs tow the Mack to Fitzwilliam, New Hampshire. So the Sterling so far came back, it was good, so we'll start using it, see how it goes. The first section of Dover Road was reopened on Friday. And because of the steep drop off to the river, we decided to leave the rented Jersey barriers along the edge of the road. I got a price from Lafayette's, who does our guardrail work, to put band rail along the 170 feet. In the spring was $13.50 a foot, plus the returns at each end and any anchors needed. And that's using recycled guardrail. So, the second section of Dover Road should be reopened in the next day or two, I would suspect. The radar sign is being moved to the next area in town after being in Williamsville for the last couple of weeks. And it seems to be having effect on speed. I see a lot of people hitting their brakes when they see it. So the storm last week was very slippery snow and continued over an extended period of time. We used a lot of sand and trying to keep the roads passable. David, our new part-time person that got hired the night before, had an interesting time trying to figure out the roads being brand new, but he did well. And we need to remind people not to plow snow across the town roads and not to park their cars so they make it so we can't plow.
That goes directly to me, because I already forgot to move my car off the road. Okay. So thank you, Jay.
Sure.
Is there any comments or questions?
On the guardrails, were we gonna see if the state would put that in that flood money? Well, we still got the barriers right in there too. The guardrails won't be able to be put in until spring.
He made it sound like it'd be a lot easier to wait till spring.
So we're still gonna have to leave the Jersey barriers up anyway, so that have to be added into that flood money stuff, so.
We looked at it the other day before they opened it, and it's quite a drop off there, so we just didn't dare leave it open. Before it had brush and trees growing along it, and it didn't look so bad, but now it's just bare. So.
Any other comments or questions? So do we make a motion to accept the road?
Yeah, make a motion to accept the road commissioner's report.
Second, anybody?
A second.
Okay, second, okay. That's it, or we vote on it? We vote on it. Okay, let's vote. Anybody in favor, everybody in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody say nay? Okay. The road commissioner Foreman's report has been accepted. Thank you, Jay, very much. Next one is the administrative assistance report.
There should be
No,
one more.
no.
No, the position for the salary increases and stuff for the
The
road crew.
probation period.
I'm sorry, you know what, I was looking at the, where am I? CV. Oh, the road crew probation period, the salary increase. Okay,
I can't remember if we had a set thing that we was gonna
There
increase it to.
wasn't one, so I don't know.
I don't know what it is he's getting paid, do you? Is it just one or two? Oh, no, Jay too.
No, it's just him for now. He's getting 18.
That's what he gets now. So what did we say at the time or anything?
It just said an increase, I didn't say how much.
What's the rest of them? What's the other next one up? Yeah.
20.
Is this for the new person?
Yeah.
This is for one that was hired July 3rd.
And
So
what's
they
the one
have a
that's
90-day
hired?
probation.
Oh, July 3rd.
Yeah, so
Okay.
October 3rd was his
And
end of his probation.
part-time. Oh, okay.
and it's going to be paid retroactively to,
It should be, yeah.
yes.
And the other one's getting 18 too, right? The other
Yes.
part-time one?
This is full, they're both full-time ones,
Full-time,
yeah.
like probation.
And it's paid retroactive back to the date of when they first came on?
No, for
The
the
probation,
probation period.
in the probationary period.
Oh, and that was in October, you're saying?
October 3rd, I think it
Oh,
was.
okay.
So you think 18.50 an hour then?
Yeah.
He's been really good asset, so.
Is Does anyone want to make a motion about that?
I'll make a motion, do a 50-cent an hour increase.
I'll
Okay,
second it.
great. Any discussion about that? No? So can we vote? Will we,
Only discussion I have, not even that, but I don't know if it's to be brought up during this part of it with the salaries and stuff. This is what we talked about earlier on the
During the
planning.
budgeting?
Huh?
You mean during the budgeting?
No. I mean, if we vote on this, is it all over, can we discuss it again? We already voted, I haven't voted, but what I'm saying is, we had another one that we had earlier, that when we took over, when he left his position, we had a thing of money that was owed or
That'll
something.
come up during pay orders.
So that's not right now.
No,
Because I didn't see it nowhere else on here, so I was wondering.
right,
All right,
oh, this is something that will come up in pay
during
orders?
pay orders, yeah.
Okay, so then, we voted on this then, right?
we're gonna.
We're going to. Okay, let's vote. Let's get going.
Aye.
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 Okay, the ayes have it. Thank you. Okay, next on the agenda is the administrative assistant's report.
On Friday, I attended 3 site visits of properties that are looking for assistance with damage that was done to their property, not their homes, just their properties, during the October rainstorm. I'm waiting right now for USDA to determine eligibility of the 3 properties, so I should have more by the next meeting. The person that we had interested in doing the reconciliation of the bank statements has decided against doing them. So we're now back to looking for someone. So if anybody knows anybody, send them our
Can
way.
you just explain that into the camera a little bit?
The reconciliation position?
Yeah, and so
Um,
in case anybody in the public is interested.
Yeah, it's probably a 2-hour-a-month position, just taking the bank statements and balancing them against what our books say. So it's not a
And
big
is this a
pain.
paid
It is a
position?
paid position, about 2 hours per month.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Is there a pay rate?
The board would set it
Okay.
at that point. Attached is a response from VLCT regarding the request of a homeowner to cut a tree down in the right-of-way. Basically, the short version is that they recommend always being consistent in whether you choose to pay for something like that or not. And if you pay for one homeowner, you should plan to pay for all of them or pay for none of them, but not picking and choosing. Also, because it's considered a shade tree, because it's a tree in the right-of-way, it has to go through the process of a hearing with the tree warden to determine if it should even be cut down. So I actually tried to get in touch with him today, but I couldn't reach him, so I'll keep trying.
That's that huge pine, right? Right
Yeah.
after the
Do you
house.
have a picture of one?
It's alive.
Of it?
It is alive.
It's not the town's responsibility. If she wants it cut, she has to have it cut.
Right.
The town does not need to pay for that.
Right, so the board should decide that, whether they, you know.
Oh, yeah, but if it
Big
even
trees or
within the
not.
town limit, it's damn near out of it, isn't it? I mean, it's almost even to the house, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that's what I was thinking about the
It's
whole thing
close.
too. I mean, if you cut that, you take that one tree down, you're gonna be cutting trees all over town.
Right, and so the tree warden would actually be the one to decide if it's in the right of way and whether it can be cut at all. But even if she wanted to pay for it, the select board would still have to approve it being cut. She can't just cut it.
And
on
why
her
is
own.
that? Can you explain why?
Because it's in the town right of way,
I see.
and so if it somehow benefits the town in any way, which I don't think this particular one does, the select board has the right to say, no, you can't cut it down. Even if she wanted to do it at her own expense, the board would still have to decide that through the process with the tree warden. So the only thing really right now that you could do was really make a decision on whether the town's policy is to pay for, you know, private trees being cut down or not pay.
Well, is this something that all of us should see. I think the two of you know what.
Yeah,
It's a live, big, perfectly live tree.
I've not
It's in no
seen the
danger.
property nor
Is there
the
a
tree.
picture of it?
There's not. I go by it twice a day. I can take a picture of it for you.
I mean, I can't vote on it unless I see it. You know, I see what you're
So,
talking
I mean, you
about.
can't vote on whether to take the tree down anyway, because the tree warden has to make that call. And there would be a site visit and a hearing.
I think we vote
So-
on it if it's our policy to go around and start cutting trees.
Exactly. So
Which in this
really-
case, I don't think,
Right.
you know, it's not endangering the town roads and stuff like that. And, I mean, the town has a right to cut trees along the road and
If,
stuff.
that's right. Now, if you thought that it was a danger to the road, you
And,
could go along and cut it down on your own.
Within our right of way.
An
That's right.
evening activity.
But if the landowner wants to.
You have to leave the wood or whatever like that for the owner if they want it and stuff like
Yeah.
that, other than that, but
Right.
like that tree there is, it's off the road pretty good anyways, but, I mean, there's a million trees like that around town. If you do get into that thing, that if you're cutting trees, then
Yeah.
we wouldn't have
So
big enough budget.
at this point in time, the only motion the board should make is whether they want to be paying for homeowners' trees or not paying. So, other than that, you need to wait for the tree warden.
Okay. So we have to make a motion.
I'd make a motion that we don't pay to do that kind of stuff, unless it's endangering our roads. or-
Unless it's dead.
Right.
If it's a dead tree, that's a different story. But a perfectly live tree, the town, no, they don't need to pay for it.
I mean, that one tree there did, probably cost you $6,000 just to get it taken down.
Any other discussion about it?
I have no clue as to where the tree
Yes,
is,
I don't
so.
know.
Yeah, you can show you sometime.
But this is more of a policy right now that you're speaking of and making a motion about, rather than looking at it, one specific tree. So is there a second to Mike's motion?
So,
Okay. So now we have to take a vote. Okay, all in favor of the town not getting involved with this, please say aye. Anybody against the motion? Is there anybody? No? So the ayes have it and the motion passes. Thank you. Okay. Unscheduled members of the public. Are there any unscheduled?
we haven't finished hers yet.
Okay. So now we have scheduled members of the public.
We haven't done those two.
Did I miss
Oh,
something?
Yeah, we gotta do,
Yeah, you
What
missed
did I
two.
do?
The rest of
That's
the
these two on her
Oh,
report.
Shannon,
Oh, yeah.
sorry.
January meetings.
All
Oh,
excited.
yeah, January meetings. Both January meetings are on holidays, the first and the third. So the board needs to decide what it wants to do with those.
Okay. Well, the next day is Tuesday. January 1st is Monday. Tuesday, Shannon can never come on a Tuesday. So how about Wednesday, January 3rd? Are you available?
I think so.
Are you, Mike? Or Chris?
If it doesn't snow,
Okay, how about you?
It's a Wednesday, January 3rd,
Yes,
at 6 o'clock.
yes.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, and it's fine with me. So can we make a motion to have our next meeting on January 3rd, a Wednesday, at 6 PM, board meeting?
So good.
Okay, sounds good.
Did you vote on it? Did you make the motion?
She made the motion.
I made the,
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
aye, we did.
You're coming around there.
Okay, sooner or later. Okay, and then the other date, Shannon,
It's
was
the 15th, which is.
January 15th
Yeah.
is Martin Luther King
Do the
Day.
same thing again if we could just meet on that.
Do it Wednesday. How about that?
Oh, what's the-
17th,
The 17th.
6 o'clock. Is that
Wednesday,
Okay.
January 17th
We're
at
making a
6.
motion. Do we have a second to the motion?
I'll second it.
Okay. We're voting. Aye?
All right.
I,
Okay. The second meeting of the month will be January 17th at 6 o'clock, select board meeting. Okay. What? Oh, yeah. Shannon, you have
Okay.
one more item?
I've got one more. It's hard to talk in 1 minute at the
I
same
know.
time. Okay. The last thing is the elementary school map has been delivered to the school, and the principal was really excited to have it, so he's working to find a nice place to be displayed.
If anybody doesn't know what Jana's talking about, there was a three-dimensional map here for years that the children at the New Brook school, it was then the Newfane Elementary School, made, and it was really quite an impressive map. And then there were also photographs of the children making it. And now that the room was painted and we were reorganizing, we had the idea that it might like to go back to its original home. And they accepted it, and I think they're very happy about it.
They're very happy.
Thank you so much for taking care of that.
You're
That was
welcome.
really great. Okay, so I make a motion, or somebody, I'm sorry, somebody can make
I'll
the
make a
motion,
motion.
please, to accept.
Except the administrative assistant.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, there are no nays, so the motion passes and the administrative assistant report is passed. Okay, now we're going to unscheduled members of the public. And there are none, because we have scheduled members of the public. So, Angela,
Yes,
would you like to share what,
here for the planning commission, and we would like to, after the community forum on November 18th, the planning commission was approached by Michael Mayer with the idea of donating the land owned by the Mayer Family Irrevocable Trust to the town of Newfane. This property is 224.2 acres of primarily forest land on Sunset Lake Road, near to the town forest. The land is presently enrolled in the current use program. When we had our community forum, there were many comments made to the community forum from members of the town, and I'll just list a few of them. One said, to increase town ownership and control of sensitive lands in partnership with existing conservation organizations, interested families, and related interests. Another member wrote, provide incentives for conserving large tracts of land from development, and to expand the trail network for the Newfane Forest, and there are trails on the Mayer property as well. The Planning Commission members found the idea in keeping with the town plan in accordance with Vermont state goals as expressed in Vermont Statute Section 6301, and supported by many of the goals and ideals expressed during the community forum and in the town-wide survey. The Planning Commission members met with Mr. Mayer to find out more about this offer and ask questions. As it stands now, the state of Vermont would like to accept donation of this land. However, the state is not willing to protect this land from the damages that would be caused by snowmobile and motorized vehicle. Another question was to the select board, can the select board accept a donation of land for the town without a town vote? And we found that per Vermont statutes it can, and as stated in Vermont sections annotated 6302A, a municipality of this state by the action of its legislative body or a state agency may acquire such real property or any right and interest therein by purchase with any authorized funds or by donation, devise, exchange, or transfer, all as herein provided. The select board has the authority to make the decision on behalf of the town as per the statute. And after lengthy discussions with Mike, the Planning Commission strongly supports accepting the offer. The one-page summary that we had provided to the select board reflects our concerns from our conversations with Mike. For these reasons, the Planning Commission thinks this is a great idea. And this is Mike Mayer, who is representing the Mayer Family Trust. Would you like to say?
I would, thank you, Angela.
Excellent.
Mike, can I make a suggestion? Can you move up a little closer so that we can hear you and Bet and Angela, you want to tell
Oh,
us
sure.
also?
Absolutely.
Come on, Ken.
Ken?
You're part of the planning commission. Come on.
Should we get in on the front row here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Front row seats.
Thank you, Angela. That was a great introduction. Thank you for allowing me to speak this evening on behalf of this project and the opportunity that I think this affords the town and the community at large. To start, I would like to share with you a map that indicates where the land is relative to the existing town forest, and that orients us a little better towards what we're talking about. And before going any further, since each of you have had a chance to look at that one-page summary offer, would you like to start with your questions, or would you like me to just go ahead and talk a little bit more about the background of the offer and what it is we're
Does anybody
inviting
on
the town
board
to
have
do?
a question for Michael?
No, I'm just trying to figure out exactly where it is.
Yeah.
Okay, let me describe what the map shows us. Up along the top of it, you see Williamsville Road bordering what is the north end of the Newfane Forest, what is identified as F100 on your map. That's the forest, approximately 90 acres as I understand. There's one abutting landowner, Alan D'Onofrio, directly abutting the town forest, and then a couple others that I'll talk about in a minute, and then off to the southwest is the portion of the Mayer family land in question. I've identified both what is the top box on that sheet in green. That was my former parents' home, now belonging to my sister. If you know the road going up just across the covered bridge known as Mayer Road, there's a cabin and a small pond up there. That's her second home. And my full-time home is down at the lower end of the property, which you see, again, sort of in the middle of the sheet, down near the bottom of where the land is. So there are three landowners that I've approached about their interest for possibly allowing a trail to connect the existing town forest with the proposed gift of land that would also become town forest. They're Alan D'Onofrio, Gordon Bristol, and Judith Strom. I brought tonight a strong letter of willingness to do that from Judith Strom. She's an abutting neighbor to me. She's, you probably know the house. It's got the red roof as you're going up Sunset Lake Road, about 1.2 miles up on the left from Arch Bridge. Gordon has, I think, 70 acres abutting her, and he also abuts D'Onofrio. Both Gordon and Alan have said, yeah, this sounds like a great idea to us. We're certainly wanting to see how we can be helpful. And rather than execute a letter to present to you, they said, as soon as the town makes its decision, we're eager to sit down and figure out how that would work. So we've got abutters who are saying, by all means, let's make town forest not just 90 acres, but close to, 400 acres, 350 acres, which is really what this is about. Any questions about the orientation of where this land is relative to the town forest? And Sunset Lake Road, of course, is that dotted line kind of connecting the two. You see where that is?
Yeah, you kind of colored it in, right? The Sunset Lake Road.
Sunset Lake Road is...
That's a double road, the double one.
Yeah, I'm just going to, can I approach and make sure that we're all on the
This
same
is the
page?
Sunset Lake Road up to like this, right?
Sunset Lake Road,
This must be
okay,
Sunset Lake
with
Road.
slightly different maps.
I
Yeah,
think.
that's Sunset Lake Road.
Is this Sunset
Here.
Lake Road?
Yeah, that's right, you got it.
The center one?
That's right.
But like, this is from, that's your property line.
Yeah, our property line is right along Sunset Lake Road.
Does that come off?
So you guys are keeping this lot?
Does that come off?
No, I own that 5 acres there, and my sister, everything that's shaded
You're keeping this?
in green are existing subdivided parcels. 5.5 acres down near the bottom of the page, which is where I live, and my sister's home is the 10 acres off of Mayor Road, just off of Depot Road there.
And it's off of Depot Road, right?
Yes.
Okay, it's
Yes.
right where that, before you get to the
The old
bridge, you take
township.
a left.
It's on the other side. If you go through the village, you pass the post office, you cross the bridge, and then immediately on your left is Mayor Road going up the hill. And that is the northern end of the land.
Or if you're coming off of Route 30 and coming towards the bridge, it's on your left, correct?
Yeah. Right
Yes.
across from the old town bridge.
Yeah, okay.
Across from the old town.
There's a white house
before
that
the bridge.
sits right there at the entrance of the
Yeah.
road.
Yes.
Okay.
That's way down here.
Yes.
That White House is,
Down here at the
Is it
intersection.
F107 or?
okay, let's, I thought we were saying something else here. The land, my sister's land runs all the way to the road,
Oh, by the
into
cover,
south.
right.
Yeah, the covered bridge is just off to the right of the upper corner, if you see it.
This one here,
Yeah, that's right.
Right.
So the covered bridge is there.
Yeah, the covered bridge.
Yeah, that's a good orienting point.
Yeah. So anyways, I guess what I'm still saying, like, you got this is like a line, that was like a subdivision in here.
That line shouldn't be there. That was an original parcel.
Yeah.
When my parents acquired this land between 30 and 40 years ago, they did it in separate parcels. And then they put it all together into a single 250-acre parcel. Subdivided out 5.5 acres for me along Sunset Lake Road at the point further south, just below Williams Road. And then where the cabin is, my sister's, there's 10 acres down there.
So this is all the piece.
And so everything in between those two is the 224 acres.
Now, I got a question for
Yeah.
you. Here,
that's
somewhere in here,
being offered.
the town owns a strip of land all the way down to the village. Very narrow strip,
Along,
the Rock River.
okay, the Rock River is here, and so that strip is right there.
Yep, okay. It comes up and joins yours, I believe.
Yes, that's correct.
This piece here.
Exactly. That's the strip that the town owns.
So is it lot F172
Yeah,
and connecting with F174
yeah.
Yeah,
and 171.2?
that is correct.
Okay.
That's the land in question. and
That's
I-
the land,
And I
okay.
included the two other ends, which are mayor-owned, just because
Yeah.
whatever happens, I mean, we let trails through it and everything else, so.
Plus
And the grade
174.
out is not in consideration, that's, right? The F175.1,
That's part of it too.
that's part of it too?
This one.
175.1, it's strangely marked.
But it is part of the donation?
Right.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
All of this is part of the donation. The fact
Gotcha.
that shows in red,
Or gray? Or
yes.
the- or the lines there.
When Doris of the Lister's office printed this map up,
Yeah,
those were elements that she couldn't remove
remove,
from the
gotcha.
graphic.
Okay.
So it was because of the original parcel designation.
Yeah.
and it's in the system to print out
Okay.
the way you see
So
it.
that's, yeah.
Well, at least we're oriented now. That's a good start. Got to start with knowing where you're at.
Right.
So I can either spend a little more time talking about how we got to this point, or whether you have specific questions you'd like to address, so we can be most efficient with your time.
No, I'd like to hear how you got to this point, I guess.
Sure. In the 70s, my parents, Pamela and David Mayer, residents of Williamsville in the town of Newfane, lived in the house 475 Dover Road, the second house before the covered bridge on the left. And they decided that they so loved this part of the world that they wanted to conserve it as best as possible. So they started buying up parcels across the Rock River from where they were when they became available. And before the farmhouse they inhabited became too much for them and they retired to an assisted living community, they put that land into trust, the Mayer Family Trust, that includes my sisters and me. The trust had a 20-year term. That term expired 2 years ago, and for various personal reasons, certain members of the family felt that it was important to move on and not further extend term of the trust. So we were faced with the possibility of various options. First, the nonprofit Manitou Project, which has been steward for the land all these years, building the 9 miles of trails, having various programs and so on, kids camps and various music and workshops for helping people enjoy the stillness and beauty of nature. All those things is what people do with the Manitou Project programs. Manitou would have been the obvious person to buy the land, but coming up with $250,000 was not something Manitou could really do. We found a conservation donor who was very interested in the long-term conservation value of the land. So she teamed up with the Mayer family to say, all right, let's find an appropriate recipient of this land donation so that it could be maintained in perpetuity for the interests of the community. The donor had a particular interest in making it become state forest initially. And that went along fine because the state foresters who came out 3 times, we started preparing really good land use plans, conservation value, very eco-friendly and so on. Everything was fine until the governor weighed in and said, oh, by the way, those plans are nice, but those plans would be subject to our allowing snowmobiles on that land, which was in direct resistance to what that ecosystem really requires. There are fens and wetlands up there, there are streams, and anytime you run a motorized vehicle across them, you well know you really destroy what's there. So those of us who really care about the land and the pristine nature of it and the what's special about those wetlands and some of the indigenous species and so on, we were looking for an alternative. So that's when we approached the town. We approached some other conservation organizations, not-for-profits. In each case, those not-for-profits took it to their boards. Would we accept the donation was the request, and in each case there was animated discussion, and in each case they said, because you're not contiguous to existing holdings that we have, it's not really within our mission. And simultaneously, we had begun discussions, as Angela was saying, with the Planning Commission after the planning forum or the community forum back a month or so ago. And it just seems like the perfect fit. And the more we talk about town residents and others, abutters, and family members, it's the ideal fit from how we look at it. This really could be something that could have a higher profile with the town. The town could have the say over how it would be used. I mean, it should be under town control, and whether it's a not-for-profit that owns it or whether it's the town that owns it, really it's the same thing. How can we maintain a 9-mile trail system? How can we help it expand, enhance the existing conservation and natural resources of the town? That's what we want to do, and really the bottom line for us is it's really what my parents' ideal was really that in the first place, and frankly the family members take a bit of a hit because it would be very nice if we could get paid for letting go our inheritance, but in this case we think that it's really in everyone's best interest to make this happen. So that's it. There's no catch. It's just here we are. One thing I would say summary that you saw, there's something in bold-faced and italic letters saying timing is an issue because discussions with the state have been ongoing for many months. The state, after actually a year, finally came up with something called a pledge agreement, which would commit the Mayer Family Trust to the state. And they said, okay, we've given you a pledge agreement, you got a couple of weeks to sign it. Well, we're kind of at the end of that period. The good news this evening is we think we've got a little bit of a breather on that. Therefore, the urgency for you all to make a decision tonight or have a decision very, very near term, there's less pressure now. And so I think we can all feel good about it. And one of the things that I would like to give you next is a draft letter agreement and a memorandum of understanding. The letter agreement, well, I'll just read it to you and you can look at it. Can I approach the table and give it to you?
Sure.
You have a question or a comment?
Let's continue the discussion. I just, would like you to see this so that you know what it is I'm hoping we might be able to do this evening. If the letter of interest, I have 3 copies. I didn't know there would be a 4th. Maybe
That's all right.
you could share that. It basically says, the letter of interest says, we're interested in this, generous offer, but we need a little time to really think about it. The memorandum of understanding that's behind it is something that the chair of the select board would sign saying, yeah, we're good with this, let's close within 45 days. So rather than rather than pressing you to actually sign the memorandum of understanding tonight, my suggestion is that if this is an intriguing offer, you'd like to spend a little more time thinking about it, there's a blank in that page which says, within X number of days, we'll get back to you with our decision with respect to the offer of the land donation. So that's maybe jumping to the end of where my proposal would be for the evening, but that's what I hope we come away with, your willingness to look at those 2 documents, and if you're willing to sign the letter of intent, or letter of interest, excuse me, sometime in the next couple of days, let me know that you've signed it, then in good faith we could continue talking with you and recognize that there's keen interest on your part to pursue the opportunity.
I have some questions.
Sure.
Because I'm ignorant about this. So, if you don't mind, let's say the town of Newfane goes forward and accepts your generous donation. What happens to land taxes and with the land taxes and everything?
Well, as you saw in the summary of terms and conditions, in addition to giving the land to the town without cost, we would also make a cash donation of $20,000 to the town,
Right.
payable by the end of June of 2018. That's in recognition of the land coming off the grand list. Now, if the land is given to the state, it would also come off the grand list. So there's a very good chance it's going to come off the grand list anyway. Right now, the current taxes are $1,963, I think. And unfortunately, there was a very significant error made by the recent appraising consultants that the town hired. The land, which is under conservation easement with the town of Newfane, has 1 building site allowed, and it's a building site off of Sunset Lake Road that's off a non-driveway like this. In other words, basically inaccessible. But what the consulting agents did was they took a picture of John Walker's beautiful cleared land, which is the other direction. And so right now we are paying the taxes that include that as a building site, which has a view, which, if any of you know that land,
I know it very
is
well.
spectacular.
Oh, I know exactly what you mean.
So what I go into that simply to say that I think the next time there's a review cycle, there'll be several $100s off the value of the land, because right now, for conserved land that has essentially no buildable site on it, the 2 acres that was carved out for building site will never be built on. I mean, if the town owns it, you could decide that maybe you would, but you'd have to do some crazy landscaping and improvements, and it happens to be right along a stream, so you'd have to be concerned about the runoff and all of that. In any event, I think that the realistic tax that would not be paid once it comes off the road, or once it comes off the grand list, is closer to maybe $1,400 or $1,500 a year as opposed to $1,900, because that building site is really not what is identified as what is being taxed right now.
So the taxes right now are about $1,000 a year, you said?
1,963 is the
It would
number.
go down to about 1,400 or
I
something.
think it would go down to
But you
about,
said too, I mean, if the state takes it over, it goes off anyways, but I don't think the state can just take it over unless the town agrees to let them buy the property.
exactly right.
Right,
So you have a way of stopping it.
right.
But if you stop it, I guess what's then going to happen is the last option for the Mayer family is just to try and sell it to whoever comes along. It
Right.
was actually on the market for a while, and no offers. And,
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the state owning it, that's for sure. I mean,
Sorry?
I'm no big fan of the state owning it,
Yeah.
and I don't like what they do with their property as it is, you know, and I mean, I'd much rather see like the town have it or whatever like that and just, I was wondering, like the stewardship, I mean, right now it goes with a login and stuff like that too. You guys log it, do you, or have you, or, that was part of like the land trust thing.
The forest management plan, we're 5 years into it. George Weir's our forester. He's great.
But what I'm getting at, you had here no motorized vehicles, but for the login purposes, they could use skidders or you have to use horses. No, but I mean, if we go into our agreement, you know, I'm just looking, because you got down here, no snowmobiles, whatever, such leakage of this and that.
Thanks for picking it. No motorized recreational vehicles, no snowmobiles, no ATVs.
So the login still.
Logging, of course, yeah, it's been logged twice
Right.
in 30 years. Mike Babbitt did one, and the other guy, I forget who it was. But what we've asked the forester to do in each case is write us a plan that optimizes old growth trees, particularly the specimen trees, which we mark. A little bit of clearing to support those trees, wildlife habitat, the things you'd expect.
Yeah.
If we had our druthers, it would not be logged at all.
Well, to make a good forest, you have to log, because like I said, pretty quick the canopy's over and then you got nothing growing. You don't have the wildlife down below, you don't have, you have to, that's what keeps a forest growing.
You said it better than I could have.
And that's what you need.
And that's what we're looking for.
That's why I'm asking about the logging. I mean, we don't have to follow the state stewardship, because once we own it, we'll be out of that program, right?
That's, you're out of current use.
Current use. I mean, we still have a forester come in, keep George on as the forester to look over it and.
The forest management plan is required under the conservation easement of the Vermont Land Trust, and that plan would be consistent with whoever it is that has a conservation interest in that land. And I think we could be pretty broad-minded about what that is, recognizing basically what you're saying.
That was logged about 10 years ago, part of it.
So it doesn't, as you look at it that way too, if you're paying like $2,000 a year and you're putting in a $20,000 donation, now you just cover the taxes for the next 10 years anyways. In the meantime, in 10 years, you're gonna have to go and do a little bit of logging here and there, so you take that money, you keep putting back into that property, it'll pay for itself anyways.
You could do that, and my inclination would be, don't figure 19 or 2000, figure 14 or 15.
Right.
And figure the value of money, you know, if you were invested someplace, that basically gives you,
Right.
I would say close to 15 or 20-year
Right,
coverage if you
right.
want to do it. But you may want to use that $20,000 of it, but yeah, there is potential income, certainly, a certain amount of logging that would be done responsibly.
Right.
And then the Manitou project would come along with it.
Well, the Manitou project,
Manitou.
basically it runs out of my house, and I'm right there.
Okay.
It's a 501c3 not-for-profit. Our budget is rather small. It's all volunteer, and we got a lot of people who work on trails who like to just go up there and clean up. They walk their dogs. And, we've got various programs that happen.
Okay.
But when you say it goes along with it, it's essentially got a volunteer organization and a group of volunteers. It would work closely with the Conservation Commission that I understand, is responsible for the town forest, and let's figure out how best to maintain what becomes this broader town asset.
Where's the access to that property?
The best access is up at 300 Sunset Lake Road, 1.4 miles up from.
It has road frontage.
It does.
It has road frontage in a very wide driveway that I snow blow every time it snows. And in fact, a lot of, whoever plows that road uses that driveway as a turnaround.
Turnaround.
Well,
And you said that this would be open to the public using walking or hiking trails. And is there water on the property for swimming at all?
there's no open water. There's seasonal streams, little pools in those streams. One spring in particular, the campers that come in the summer, they
So you
use
allow
those streams.
campers?
2 weeks, and one summer, there were 4 weeks of camp. But we have a 14-year history in having camps in conjunction with Vermont Wilderness School.
Uh-huh.
And what about liability insurance or anything coverage? Does Manitou cover that with programs?
Right now, or going forward?
Yeah, right now.
Right now, the owner of the land is the Mayer Family Irrevocable Trust.
Mhm.
And it has a blanket policy.
Mhm.
Manitou pays for most of that policy, reimburses MFIT for that, because really the only liability is when the kids are on the land. However, there's also coverage that the operator of the camp has. So my question to you is really, what sort of liability coverage, if any, does the town have in town forest? I think that's what would be the,
Yeah, so our current liability insurance would just extend
yes.
to the next section.
Okay.
Thank you, Shannon.
You're welcome.
So you already, the town has already dealt with that, with the town forest and all that. so-
And if the town decided that it was open to letting the camps continue, there would still be a
An
special
additional-
camp
yes.
policy that would come with the operator of the camp. There was a twisted ankle a couple of years ago, and there was question of whether or not any coverage would apply. It turned out not to be serious enough to warrant that.
Yeah.
The camp policy would have covered it.
Covered it
Had
first.
somebody had, gone to the
And then the
emergency
town would be named additional insured or something.
Could be.
Yeah,
Yeah, it certainly, as
Yeah.
the owner of the land, it would be.
yeah. I did have another question. I can't remember. what
Is
it
there
was.
anybody else first who needs to say anything or ask a question? Anybody? Okay, go ahead.
I can't remember it.
Oh, you can't remember, okay. You'll remember then.
Yes.
Well, like I said, if you're giving up the land, which, that's your own choice, you're doing something if parents want it, it's, I guess everybody has what they want to do. I like the idea of the town owning it long before I'd ever see the state of it. And stuff like that, at least you could carry it on, and you just got to say in something that does happen there.
Do you have a problem with snowmobiles going up there? or-
Yes.
You do?
Yeah, because the land is, unfortunately, we got snow cover there now.
Yeah.
It's pretty steep, right?
It's steep, and there's a lot of fragile wetlands. And even though designated snowmobile trails could avoid the wetlands, you still have to cross a stream or two to get to it. And Williams Road is directly to the south, and you've got half a dozen camps there, and already there are snowmobiles that go out Williams Road. And I've actually gone in pursuit of snowmobilers who've been on the land, having gotten onto it through some back access point. And the problem is, if word is out that there's a snowmobile trail, then that is kind of open season for people going out Williams Road, cutting across the fen in the wetland, destroying the wetland, and hey, I was just getting to the snowmobile trail. I didn't know that I couldn't take this shortcut. Well, those are the kind of problems that we would run into, and these are the kinds of things that the state foresters acknowledged to be a real problem. So one of the things that they had recommended in their proposal is that there be very strict signs every 50 feet saying no snowmobiles, no tracking into these sensitive areas. So,
Well, there's no vast trails out from that anyways, is there? No. There's no vast snowmobiles, so I mean, there's really no purpose of them to cross that anyways, right? It's not like you're gonna block off a vast snowmobile trail by doing this anyways,
I don't think there's a current, yeah.
currently.
the problem is, if word was out that, hey, come on, and the governor says, what a great way to bring, tourist
Tourism,
dollars to our state. It's just a very different use for the land that for the last 30, 35 years has helped to conserve and support the conservation features. What I haven't said is, in addition to 9 miles of trails, there's special lookouts, there's special places of quiet that individuals have gone out to sort of make their little special place in the woods. They don't own it, but they're local stakeholders, and that's really the kind of thing that we'd like to encourage with that land.
So,
Well, it could turn into a positive for the town, because, you got something like that, it does attract some people who like to hike,
It's something that no other town around here has. I mean, to say that you've got not just 90 acres, but now, do the arithmetic, 300, 400, close to acres of land that is stewarded by local volunteers and available for, and we can talk about the different kinds of programs that would make sense. Down in the fine print of the one page here, I've got some examples of current programs that Manitou has been doing. But our hope is that, we sit down with you and maybe a subcommittee of your board, or we work with the Conservation Commission, the Planning Commission, whoever, and say, what's the optimum way to really make the best use of what is a conservation resource, a recreation resource, a place of stillness and beauty for all of our town residents? So how can we best work together to make that a real asset to the community?
would that be something the planning commission would work on with
I think
Michael?
we would work on it with him.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
So, anybody else have a thought or question about this for Michael? Ken?
Chris.
And this is
I'd
partly
like
a,
Gary,
What?
I'd like Gary to know about it.
Oh, Gary. Yeah. Go ahead. I'm
yeah,
sorry.
partly a comment and partly a question. I mean, as I'm looking at the documents, I haven't been able to be a part of this conversation of late, but being a member of the Planning Commission and being attentive to the town plan, there's the whole notice here about the existing town plan has support of forest areas. It's the Newfane town plan is describes how we're a rural town defined by large tracts of forest and compact villages. And a vision for the future should grow with this definition. So it's really very opportune that our town plan already calls for this kind of activity, and lo and behold, here you are with exactly a way to manifest this goal in our vision.
Yeah.
So this is deeply encouraging to me as a member of the Planning Commission.
Well, Chris just said that he would like to have Gary Delius know about this. Now, I
He
know
does.
that Bob McCandless who's on the planning commission, is very excited about the idea. As a matter of fact, he gave me this proposal in my house, came to my house and gave it to me recently. I don't want to make any assumptions that Gary knows about it, even though I'm pretty sure he does, but I think it would be very important. Did Gary mention it today? So
He
can
said
you
in case
report?
he couldn't call in, his one question was, would it be taken off the grand list, which you answered, yes, it would, but there's also the $20,000 donation, and So that really was his only question about it.
And with that question answered, if it were taken off, is Gary for it? Did
Yeah,
you
he
say?
thought it was a great idea. That was just his only question, and I don't think he read far enough down
Yeah,
to see, so.
okay, so
Now,
that's
other
very
than
good.
restrictions on the property, other than snowmobiles and stuff like that, motorized vehicles, there's no other real restrictions, as long as it involves something to do with hiking, maybe camping sites or something on it, like, they want somebody to just come in and set up a tent and camp over like one of these sites.
The way there's been discussion about that in the past, and the issues that have come up around that are, number one, if word gets out that it's there for anyone to come out and put up their tent, even though there's a superb outhouse, not always is everybody going to use an outhouse. In other words, you start having maybe irresponsible use of sensitive land. So that was one issue. Another issue is liability. If somebody goes out, they're not properly prepared, there's an unexpected frost, they get disoriented. I mean, things could happen. So it's a liability issue, but you know, these are questions that anybody who's really wanting to think about what are all the implications of opening up for anything.
That could all be discussed later on.
Exactly. Yeah, and I think that's just a question of the people who take it on as a volunteer within the town structure, or you know, sitting down with Manitou and whatever body of town representation makes those decisions. But there's certainly nothing that prohibits that from happening.
Right.
We cannot build overnight structures
Right.
because that's prohibited both with the conservation easement, but also Act 250. We have an Act 250 filing, we're compliant with that just because of trails. You know, some people say, oh my gosh, why does Act 250 even kick in here? Well, we had a president here who was partially responsible for creating Act 250, so he said, let's do everything by the book, and that's why that exists.
Any other questions or comments? So Shannon, I'm going to look to you and to Mike. So you gave us two pieces of paper, one is the letter of interest and then the memorandum of understanding. So if we were to sign one or both of these, the next step would be for us to take this to our legal counsel. Is that correct or not?
Yeah, can I?
Sure.
Could I make a suggestion?
Yeah.
The letter of interest, there's a line there, as you see, that, you know, we'll get back to you within X number of days with our decision with respect to actually signing the memorandum of understanding. The memorandum of understanding is a good faith agreement to move towards the transaction
Right.
occurring. Every document that you've seen says whatever thing you sign, whatever decision you make is subject to legal review and documentation approval by your counsel. So there's nothing that is being asked of you that would not have scrutiny by whoever advises you.
The letter of interest, I mean, you've already got our interest, I guess. I mean, speaking for myself,
You
I
make
don't
a
know about the
vote,
rest.
take a vote on it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you know, just speaking for myself, so I guess what I'm saying is I'd jump to the next part and then go from there to the
Right.
rest of it, but,
So would you like to make a motion?
yeah, I just did it.
Oh, that's the motion.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you hear that, Shannon?
Well, I'll second it.
Sorry, I was reading.
Well, can you repeat it, Mike? Can you get that?
I said, but my motion is to skip over the letter of interest, because we've all talked about it, and we're all got the interest in it. Go on to the next one,
To the memorandum of understanding.
and sign that, and then we'll go from there with the attorneys to, I mean, there's no sense just coming back 45 days from now and
Right.
speaking the same thing. We're all kind of in agreement, so.
Okay. Is there a second
I'd
to
rather see
them?
the town than the
I'll
city.
second it.
Okay. Chris seconds it. Yes?
I would just say one thing. The 45-day period the letter of interest is a blank number of days for you to decide, but you have said, hey, we'd like to go with this thing. Let's sign the memorandum of understanding. In the memorandum of understanding, there is a good faith effort to close within 45 days. May I suggest that good faith effort to close within 45-60 days or something? We don't want you to feel bound by 45 days. That's my only comment. So at this point, as long as we have that memorandum of understanding, I don't think we have to worry about any other potential recipient getting in the way, i.e. the state of Vermont.
So like I said, I think we have more control of it than we would
Yeah.
if the state gets involved.
So Mike made a motion and Chris seconded, so now we have a vote. All those in favor of moving on to the memorandum of understanding, please say aye.
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 All those opposed? No. Okay, so moved that we're going to go with the memorandum of understanding.
That's exciting.
Thank you very much.
I make a motion to have Marion sign it.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Is it in order for me to say 45-60 days and initial that? Because I think that may end up happening on our side
Okay.
in terms of actually getting to closing. Thank you. And again, it's all in good faith
And
anyway.
if you can sign that, please.
I
Well-
think that's a pretty generous offer too.
Yes,
Yes.
it's incredible.
Thank
Pretty
you very
well.
much.
It's a nice little package.
It is.
Shannon, can you make copies of this also? And Michael, you want to initial that too?
I can initial it. I actually, Rebecca signs it on behalf of the trust,
No, I know, but
but I can,
If he
I can do
amends his
this.
first motion,
I'm sorry, what?
if
Michael.
Mike
Oh, Mike.
amends his first motion to include that change to the,
Oh, okay, Mike, you want to amend the motion and include the change?
For the extension of time.
Yeah, for the extension between 45 and 60 days.
Okay, second,
Second it.
great. All vote for that?
Aye.
Aye. Okay,
thank you so much.
thank you. This is very exciting.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a real generous offer.
Thank you.
I would like to introduce one of the management folks who said, well, speak for yourself.
Speak
Speaking
for
for myself, I
yourself,
thought the meeting was at 7.
That was
Sorry.
my fault.
Okay. But yeah, I was very interested in this. I thought it was a great idea for the town, so since I live in South Newfane, I thought I'd like to see what happens.
Like I said, it's a smaller group of people keeping it within the town. When the state gets involved, there's so damn much paperwork and so much, everything gets lost, nothing ever happens anyways, and they screw it up anyway, so.
It has taken them a year to say, sure, we'll take it, a year.
Oh, I believe it. I've been dealing with them for 3 years on a project, still ain't got an answer.
And let's see, we did it in what, 30 minutes?
And I'd like to thank Angela and the Planning Commission
Yeah.
for working with Michael on this. And thank you so much. This is just a wonderful opportunity for the whole town of Newfane.
Yes.
And on behalf of the planning commission, we thank you for approving it. It's wonderful.
Thanks, Jim.
Yeah, I'm just moving.
I'm just gratified that you all see it as for what it is, and thank you. It just is very good, because other times we've mentioned it, there've been people scratching their heads saying, what's the catch? What am I missing here?
Right.
It's going to be a great asset to the town of Newfane.
Yeah, I can
Yeah,
see where it could be.
I can see so much, yeah, with
Yeah.
good
very
people
exciting.
coming to visit.
Sorry?
Good people coming to visit, you know, or a big thing for tourism, you know, a late tourism.
So we will execute this on our behalf, and is there a point person? I guess we'll be
Shannon.
working with Shannon and then with the planning commission as we develop further get further.
Yeah, if you communicate with Shannon, then she'll bring it to us.
You know, like what you have probably too, like what you gotta get started with this, with the other group there. They probably have like a map, show like the network of those trails and what you
Got all
have.
that?
I mean, that'd be nice sometime along, man.
Yeah, it's
But
a
yeah, I think it's a,
great resource.
yeah, I think, like I said, as long as you're giving it up anyways, I think it's great the town owns it. Yeah, I appreciate it.
You're here. High five all around, huh?
Thank you so much.
Thank you very, very much. Okay, we're going on to,
Yeah, thank you for
thanks,
coming.
yeah, thank you, everybody.
Thank you so
Ken,
much.
thank you, good to see you, and thank you also.
And we'll probably be talking to him more anyways when he's down to the point, so.
Yeah,
Thanks.
Ken, are you here for a while again? Oh, good. Okay, that's exciting.
Really exciting.
The listers, I think that's being postponed, right?
Skip.
Yeah, okay. So we're skipping the scheduled members of the public with the listers, and we're moving on to new business, town office cleaning. So I had a suggestion that I wanted to bring to the board. When I came in here the last several times and I saw this disarray, I thought it might be nice if Shannon and Melissa and the listers and if Carol Hasselback, town clerk, could use some extra help in cleaning the building right now, all the offices, because this is something that has been a major undertaking, is the painting of the rooms and halls, and it's not that you do this every day. I think it would be really great if you could have some help. I know you don't want any help, but I think it would. So I just thought that that was an idea, if anybody wants to
Are we
discuss it.
volunteering?
No, that we would pay somebody. We would pay, it would be
Wanted to see.
Melissa Brown's mom, and what is her name again?
Diane.
What?
Diane.
Diane Brown, that we could hire her. And Shannon said it's in the budget already.
Yeah, there's extra in the budget.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Anybody want to make a motion that,
yeah, I make a motion that if they need help, they can seek it, you know, hire somebody to help do it.
great, and
You
clean?
know, weed this place out, whatever needs going.
Yeah, just really do a good cleaning, you know, and you all have been so great and not asking for any help, but I think it would be a great help, and it's not that you can stop working to start cleaning, you have work to do. And,
Yeah.
They've already thrown out some stuff anyways, and what makes it look a lot better anyways.
Yeah, anybody want to second that motion?
I'll
Would that include like window washing?
Okay,
Do you-
I don't know.
Painted this place down on drapes, look like hell.
I know, the drapes too.
I know, those are just.
They're all
done.
yellow.
And we had them clean.
I know.
Really?
yeah, we
I guess
did.
they didn't come out, we didn't really notice that they didn't come out that good, because everything else was
Yeah,
bad.
different.
Now
Okay.
you notice it.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, I think that Lombardies are doing one hell of a job painting this building.
They did,
a great
And
job.
it really looks nice, and they give us a really fair price. I think.
absolutely. Did they put up the sign? Because it's
They
gone.
put it up for us
Yeah,
today.
It is? Oh, how great.
That
I
looks
just
good too.
Really?
Yeah.
I want to see it.
No, I think it's, they're doing an
So we
excellent
have
job.
a motion and we have a second, so I guess we're in discussion right now. Anybody, are we ready to vote?
Is there a
on-
budget on it, a limitation?
Oh, you mean how much?
Yeah.
It's up to you guys. I mean, there's a lot of extra in the budget, but you wouldn't need as much as.
Right.
How many, I mean, do you have an estimate of how much it is? Versus just an open-ended?
Well, this, I can say that the person we hire is the person who cleans this office anyway, so there's a long-standing relationship with her. And my opinion would be that just to trust that she does what's needed, and whatever it is, it's not gonna be a fortune, but it'll certainly be a help. What does everybody else think?
I make the motion, we already made the motion.
Second.
No, in terms of the, how much is it?
Well, I don't think they're gonna go over any budgets, they're just gonna
No,
kinda come in and give it a good thorough clean
Yeah.
and then be done with it. Yeah.
is that good? Any, are we voting? All in favor of letting Diane Brown clean this building and with the understanding that it's probably not going to go over budget and she's a very trustworthy cleaning person and she's the one who knows the building best, just to go on with it.
All right.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, now what? Old business. Recycling survey.
Yeah. I put in your mailboxes just the summary of the surveys that we've received so far. Between the online survey that people are taking and the ones that have been handed in on paper, we have 50 responses so far. It's still open until January 2nd for people to take them.
How many responses so far?
50. And so, right now, choice one, which is leave it the way it is, has about 44%. Having town-supplied recycle bins is about 28%. A town transfer station is 4. Town-supplied curbside pickup was 11, and then a privately owned transfer station was 11%. So,
So pretty much they like it the way it is so far.
yeah, that's pretty much what we're getting. And like I said, it's still open until January 2nd, but I just wanted to give you a sort of
Yeah.
so far.
And this is under Survey Monkey.
Yep. And I just
Online.
updated the link on the town website because after a bunch of things get added to the website, the older stuff gets dropped and you can't find it as easily. So I kind of pushed it to the top again today, and then I sent out a reminder on Front Porch Forum that it's available. So,
Thank you so much.
yeah, you're welcome.
Okay. So we don't need a motion right now with that, do we?
Nope. I
No,
just wanted
okay.
to-
Next item under old business is municipal planning grant authorized
Yes.
agent.
Yes. So when we applied for the planning grant, before we signed the, yes, that paper, and I can't remember the name of it, or can I find it?
This, are you familiar?
Do you have it?
This is grant system, right? Grant administration guide?
Yeah, as long as there's a form that needs to be signed in it. Oh, I have it. I got it. I just have too many pieces of paper, sorry. Anyway, when we applied, we had this signed and it named the municipal official, which needs to be the chair of the board. And now that we have a new chair of the board, we called the state to see how to change the person's name in the system. And she said the easiest way is to just re-sign this resolution that you signed when we applied. So, anyway.
We all sign it or just?
Everybody has to sign it, make a motion to sign it, and it's basically saying you're applying, but you've already done that and it's already been approved, so you're just re-signing and naming Marion.
Make a motion to re-sign.
Second.
Okay. Any other discussion? Let's vote on signing.
Aye.
And
Aye.
then you just, you print your name and sign on the print side.
And this is for that $8,000 grant?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Print, under name, you sign?
you
Or
print
print.
where it says name, and then on the right-hand side it says signature.
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah. Okay. Sorry about that. this the only place we have to sign on this, or we sign?
Yeah, I can fill the rest out.
This? And then you give this back to Lynn Forrest? Or how does this
No,
work?
I'm gonna send it back to the city.
Okay. Will you let Lynn know that we
Yeah.
did? Yeah, thank you so much. Shannon, we all have it signed. Thank you very much, Shannon, for taking good care of this. The next order of business under old business is Baker Brook Road issue. Is there a discussion about that?
So you received a response from the town attorney regarding.
Right.
He reviewed the letter that was sent by the town as well as the one that they received, and so his comments are there.
This one. Did everybody read this?
So pretty much what he's telling us to have her fill out the permit,
Right.
and we go from there.
And if she fails to submit the application in 30 days of the letter.
So Shannon, does the select board notify Nancy that this is she getting a copy of this, or we're not doing anything with this?
That belongs to, that letter is
To the board.
to the board.
Okay,
Telling us what we should do, how we should handle it.
Right.
Or she's never filled out a permit.
right,
Is it telling, like he's saying, probably the simplest way now is just go about it and give her the permit, have her fill it
Right.
out, and if we got guidelines she's gonna follow, she'll have to do it. If not, then you start the next process.
Right.
So, what will we do? We have to send her a thing telling her she has to fill a permit out within 30 days or 15 days or whatever, and get it back to us, and then Jay, and then we'll look it over, and then tell her the rules and regulations of
Yeah.
what we have for right-of-way permits or access right-of-ways.
so then she gets a letter from the select board.
Right, so she'll get
I
a
will
letter
not talk to her.
with the permit
Right.
application, with the instructions for filling it out,
Okay,
and however long you want to give her to fill it out.
Well, I think it should be sooner than later. It's been an ongoing thing anyways. I mean,
Yeah.
And then
like I
there's-
said, I'd give her the 15 days to get the permit in. You know?
is that enough with the holidays coming up?
Yes.
Yes?
All she gotta do is get it into us, and then Jay takes it from there, and he looks at it, and he refers it back to us.
Okay,
It does mention 30 days, but I don't know if that's a requirement.
yeah, it does say 30 days. You want to vote 15 days? Okay. You want to okay, did you make a motion?
I think so.
Okay.
I'll make a
You-
motion,
Okay, make a
that we
motion.
send her a letter saying, with a permit application,
Yes, and she has 15 days.
to respond to the application,
Okay,
and if we get it back, we'll look it over and
right,
and we'll give her our
thank
recommendations.
you. And you want to second that? No.
He wants to stay out of it.
Oh, you
I'll
want to
second
stay?
it.
Okay.
I'll second it.
So then, we need a vote, and we need a quorum, so, how many people say aye to
Aye.
going
I'll
along with the
vote
motion?
aye, but I won't,
You can
You'll vote on it?
I don't mind voting on it. I just,
No, I know, you're not voting on it.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
Oh, you are? Oh, you just didn't want to make a comment. So all in favor of carrying the motion, say aye, please.
Aye.
Aye.
All say nay. Okay, the motion has passed. She gets a permit within 15 days and gets it to Jay. Okay, correspondence. Do we have any correspondence? Okay, this is from VLCT. If anybody wants to read it. And this is WRC newsletter, which is Wyndham Regional Commission newsletter. So if anybody would like to read it, borrow it, it's here. Okay, that's all the correspondence. Okay, so now we are at the end of correspondence, and so now we're going to say that the official part of the meeting is over. It's 7:45 p.m. And thank you very much for being here, everybody here in person or by video. And we send our best to Gary Delius, our vice chair, who's not with us today. We hope that he will join us next week. And to all, a very good, wonderful holiday season. And that's it. We're adjourning.
No, we're not adjourning.
No, we're not adjourning. We're not adjourning. We are moving on to pay orders, but good night, everybody. Thank you.